Welcome back, boys. Gareth here for another Fox's FPL wrap-up video. Now this week we're going to be wrapping up both Game Week 16 and Game Week 17, doing the usuals, the winners, the losers, the changes, the things people have done, and getting ready for Game Weeks 18 and 19. So there's a bit to cover, so let's get right into it. Now, continuing the normal tradition of having another hat every week, this week I'm repping the old Joker scribbled Batman hat. I've got plenty of these, boys. I've spent too much money over my years on Batman stuff, so I'm going to start cycling through some of these hats week in, week out. Now, going on to Game Week 16's results. Now, that was a bit of a crazy week. Coming in at first place last week was Maddie. 55 points. Having a decent week in a week that was pretty bad for everybody. Like, points were quite low across the board. And believe me, there were some very low ones I'm going to be touching on soon. But Matt with his 55 points for the week, pretty much a solid team. Only really, 5 blanks for him. Of Bowen, Grealish, Ward-Prowse, Firmino and King. So it was a pretty solid team. Pretty solid week. He had obviously Ben Me in there. That's racked in some points. Captain Salah, now we're going to touch on that. That's some guy you definitely want to be getting out of your teams. A couple of weeks ago I was saying he's basically God. Now I'm saying get him out. But yeah, so Fernandez, Ayling, Pope, Bamford, all throwing some points. Obviously Salah getting a few more, but it was all built off the back of Ben Me having a blinder of a week. Against Sheffield, scoring that goal, winning 1-0. Good week for him. On Maddie's team as well, like the transfer of, I'm going to say the transfer of the 2 weeks. Ben Me, he brought in for Vestergaard. Now, obviously Vestergaard out was pretty obvious because he was injured, but bringing in Ben Me for that week, blinder. So, Maddie, you get transfer of the 2 weeks. I'm going to give it to you for both because there was not a lot going on for Game Week 17. So you definitely win transfer of the fortnight, let's put it that way. Now, coming in at second place in Game Week 16 is somebody who has been pretty consistent across the board for the last few weeks, and that's Mark. 53 points, right behind poor old Matty there. But Mark has found himself sliding up that table real fast. He's a real dark horse here, boys. So you got to keep your eyes on him. His team, quite a solid team as well. McCarthy in goals with Tierney, Bellerin and Walker-Peters in the back line. Obviously Fernandez and Salah and Bamford. The only blanks that he really had was Mitchell, Grealish, Romeo and Calvert-Lewin. But a very solid week again. Continuing on quite a solid period of time for Mark. Bringing in people like Tierney and Bellerin into his team for Ogbonna and Justin. So what did Ogbonna and Justin get for the 2 weeks? He got... Ogbonna scored a few points, but Justin, it doesn't look like he did, just to 2. So it was a decent transfer in and out. Really back in the Arsenal backline for the next couple of weeks, it looks. So picked the right bit of form. And Tierney, obviously, the following week, really performed quite well. So, well then, Mark, another consistent week for you. Now, on to the losers for Game Week 16, and really, I'm only going to touch on one loser, because I don't think there was anybody that's lost this badly in a week I've ever seen, and that's Brett. 19 points for the week. Whoa. Big hit, boy, big hit. What were you doing? Look at your team, it's a disaster, it's a mess. You've gone from being my shining hope of going from top all the way down the table. You've just slid so quickly. I've never seen a player slide down the table so fast, other than Tyler. So, very bad week for you, man. You made 2 transfers, took a -4. You took out Mahrez and Werner and brought in Brewster and Salah, and both of them blanked. Whole team, like goalkeepers, backline, all blanked. Front line blanked. The only people getting your points was Fernandez, and then your captain Salah to get 3, turned it into 6. So really, no points anywhere across the board. I reckon this is probably single-handedly the worst week I've ever seen in my FPL, I'm going to say career. But definitely the worst week for anybody in this league. So, bad week, my friend, bad week. Time to turn this around, otherwise you're going to find yourself sliding into mid-table pretty easily, pretty quickly. Now, to move it along, keep it going at a quick kind of pace, we go to Game Week 17 and we go to the winner for the week. And that winner is a guy, like I said before, who has been captain consistent for the last 5 weeks, and that's Mark. 84 points. He had a belter of a week. 0 subs. He backed the Arsenal backline. Obviously, Bellerin blanked, but Tierney went off. So, well in, Mark. Only McCarthy and Bellerin, Calvert-Lewin and Bamford not scoring you any points. And Salah, sorry. So you got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players not scoring points, but you got pretty much everybody who scored any real points for the week. You had Tierney, Fernandes, Son, Kane, Grealish, Mitchell. Your whole team was stacked, and your captain Kane, and well done. The only thing you could have possibly done better was captain Son, made a couple more points, but brilliant week. Absolutely brilliant. And you've just seen your rank go flying up the table. You've gone from being bottom end of the table at the beginning of the season to now fighting top 3. So, bloody great week, actually. Now, in second place for Game Week 17 is actually myself. Similar to Mark, I've had a very solid last few weeks as well. I got 76 points this week. Again, not a lot of blanks overall. I got Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, Diaz and Dallas blanking, and the rest of the team scoring points. My midfield is looking pretty smick. Sterling, Son, Fernandes, Souček, Grealish. Everybody's banging in some points. Now, obviously with Game Week 18 and Game Week 19 coming up, I've got a bit of a plan. I've touched on it in some previous videos before, but there's a bit of an idea there. I don't have my wild card, my first one, and I don't have my free hit. So I had to be smart and start moving players in for Game Week 18 and Game Week 19 so I don't handicap myself, and I'm not going to use my my second wild card early on. I'm going to save that for later in the season. The way things are going in the UK at the moment, with the COVID just wiping out the country again, I don't expect the league to go unscathed for the rest of the season. I expect there to be some game weeks called off and double game weeks racked up somewhere. So having a wild card in your pocket for later on, gonna come in handy. I can see it now. So, but yeah, another solid week for me. I've had now, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. So those 4 in a row has got me right up towards the top of the table. I'm fine. I'm second space now. Only a couple of points off of old mate Sean. And like I said before, Mark's come barreling out of nowhere. It's all the way up to 4th place and only less than 20 points off the top. So that that top 4 and 5 is still very close, but the people in that top 4 and 5 has swapped around quite a lot. Now in 3rd place for 17, I have to give Blake some mention. 74 points is a big week for you, mate. You know, I rip into you every other week. You do have pretty crappy weeks and you find yourself down the bottom, but every now and then you manage to pull out a decent week, and this is one of them. You know, your team is quite solid. Your backline kind of failed you. Chilwell, Justin and Diaz all kind of blanked, with Wilson and Calvert-Lewin up front, but you had pretty much the midfield hitters. Son, Ward-Prowse, Grealish, De Bruyne and Kane, all racking in points. All captain and Kane as well. That was your best, I believe, your best captain for the season. So, well in. That's a good result there. So, props where props due. You know, you did well this week, and to be honest, your points aren't terrible either. 902 now. Find yourself kind of sliding up into, well, mid-table, I reckon. Yeah, 12th place now. So, you're not too far off. You cracked the 900 mark, so keep it going. You're not far off 10th and 11th, so 20 odd points, 30 points. So if you do string together a couple of good weeks, you can find yourself sliding up. I want to see you by the end of the season up in that top 6. Keep making these kind of decisions. Don't do anything too rash. Hold on to your wild cards. If you've got free hits, I think you already used yours a couple of weeks ago, you idiot. But if you've got kind of chips and stuff, hold on to them, because you're going to need them, as I'm saying. The next few weeks is going to be chaos, and the back end of the season is going to be even more chaos. So the more stuff you can have in your back pocket for later, the better. Now, coming in last place for Game Week 17 is a guy that was once the invincible man. He was top of the table for the first 8 weeks, untouched, flying, 100-point game weeks. You know, he was murdering everybody. Now, how the mighty has fallen. Tyler down at bottom place, 33 points, and to top it off to make it even worse, he used his wild card for this, and that's his second wild card this season. So, very bad week. Now, did you line up your team enough for Game Week 18-19? Did you pre-plan ahead? We'll see, but from what I'm looking at this team, it's it was a pretty bad week for you. So Chilwell, Diaz, El Ghazi, Rashford, Salah, Sigurdsson, Calvert-Lewin and Bamford all blanking. Other than Vardy and Ogbonna and Martinez in goals getting any real points, it was a pretty bad week for you. So I really hope that second wildcard that you blew early on to get, I'm hoping you got players in for game week 18-19, trying to line your team up for that a bit to bounce back up the tables, because yeah, if you've wasted your wildcard and you didn't plan around that, oh boy, you're going to have a fun week in the next week or two. Now, second to last place this week as well is what I can call consistency. You know, if you're going to be consistent, at least be consistently bad, right? So, Brett sitting second to bottom. 44 points, son. 44 points. You had 19, at least you got more than 19, I guess. But 44 points. Again, another terrible performance from your team. Your backline and goalkeeper all blanking. Your forward line completely blanking. The only guys getting any points is Grealish, Fernandez and De Bruyne in the midfield, with Salah again 2 points. So, a very not happy looking team there. So you do have a lot of players that potentially could be getting points, like Yerry Mina and Zuma should be getting some points soon if they start playing well. Like Diaz should be getting clean sheets, things like that. Like Calvert-Lewin and Wilson, you know, they've both played game week 18, game week 19, so hopefully you got a team that just consistently builds towards more points. But first glance, this team is looking pretty shaky. So if you've got yourself a free hit, I recommend using it for game week 18-19 to try to gather a few points at least. Now, another person this week, he didn't finish top or bottom or anything like that, I just wanted to highlight something, and that's Reese. He's used his second wild card as well this week. So moving towards 18-19, it looks like him and his brother are prepping for the double game week, hopefully. But they've both used their wild cards. So 2 wild cards gone, both of them gone. They've gone all in on game week 18 and 19, it looks. Reese's team isn't looking too bad. Like Antonio up front, Saka in his team, Zaha, Sterling, like Cresswell, Diaz, Justin. He's got a pretty solid looking team here, so I might perform quite well. It'll be interesting to see how you go game week 18 and game week 19. You know, even your bench is quite strong, like Cash, Ings and Chilwell with Martinez on it. So what are you thinking? Are you going to go bench boosting for game week 19? Because if you are, ooh, very smart, very, very smart. It'll be a very good call actually. So maybe something that I've already thought of. But yeah, just wanted to bring that up. So Tyler and Reese have both used their wild cards for the new one that's come into effect in game week 16. So let's see how big points they can haul in, and let's see how they go. Now, I'm going to touch on the ranking change. Now, I'm going to just combine game week 16 and 17 together. So from game week 15 to game week 17, there were some big moves. So let's start at the top now. So as of game week 17's results coming in, Sean stays top of the table. No change there. So for the last 3 weeks, Sean, you've been top of the table. So holding his place there. But second place is now myself, coming up 3 spots in the last 2 weeks. That's a massive change. So like I said, guys, a couple of weeks back, if you guys can't do it, then I'm going to go do it. I'm going to take top spot. And so third spot, we got my little Matty. He's been in third spot for the last 3 weeks, so holding his spot down as well. Pretty consistent, even though he had a bad game week in game week 16. So, but another big changer in fourth place is Mark. He's come flying up 4 spots in 2 game weeks. If he keeps up this speed, he's going to be closing in on top 3 real easily. So then 5th place is poor Aiden. He's dropped down 1 spot only because Mark has had such a good time. So Aiden's done nothing wrong. He's had a pretty consistently solid 2 weeks, but Mark has just excelled and jumped above him. Fallen down the table pretty rapidly though. From 2nd place down to 6th place is Tyler. Down 4 places in 2 weeks. He's having a torrid time of it. So yeah, got to sort something out. Maybe there's that wild card that he's got all banked up ready for 18-19. Another consistency person is Luke. He hasn't changed. Stayed in his 7th spot from game week 15 to game week 17. Has not moved a button. So keep performing, keep doing those decent results. Pick your time. When everybody else is going for a week, hold off and go for a different week and go bang and jump up the table when they're not expecting it. Another big mover is Andrew, up 2 spots, up to 8th place. That middle kind of section from about now 6th to 11th kind of flips around pretty quickly. So there's a lot of movements in those 2 zones. Brett, though, the only guy to fall as far as Tyler is Brett, down 3 more places. He was 6th place in game week 15th, and he was 5th place in game week 14, and then he was 4th place in game week 13. So from the last game week 13 to game week 17, it's just been a consistent drop. So got to sort something out, got to make some changes, got to do something different. Whatever it is you're doing now, do something different. I'm going to put you in the same category that I usually put Blake. So what do we got next? 10th place, we got Jack, just down 1 spot, nothing too drastic, holding his own. He's had a pretty solid 2 weeks, nothing to write home about, nothing too crazy. 11th place, Kashi, no change at all. He's been pretty much 11th place for, 4 weeks now, so maybe time to take a bit of a punt going towards 18, 19. How's your team looking? That's the main thing. Look into it, see if you can get as many double game week players in, or maybe you're banking for game week 18 to climb up a little bit. So 12th place is Blake, climbing up that charts. From game week 13, Blake was 15th. He's now game week 17 up to 12th. So big points jumps. You know, I know that gap from the bottom 3 to the mid-table kind of thing was quite a big gap. So you've done well to bridge it and start closing in on it. I want to see it consistent. Keep it going. Get some more points. Have a few more game weeks. I want to see you get into that real mid-table soon. I want to see you break that top 10 by the end of game week 20. So then you're going to make a big push towards the end of the year. 13th place, we got Morgan. He's gone up 1 spot. And I think it was more, he's gone up because someone's gone really far down. And I'm going to get to poor old Jakey boy. So Sam, again, up 1 place. Hey, going up 1 rather than going down. You've been going down pretty consistently from 14th, 15th in the last few weeks. Now down to back to 14th. So let's see if you can turn it around now and get back climbing up the table. 13th, 14th, and 12th and 11th. Jakey boy though, gone from, where were we? 12th and 9th. So from 9th in game week 13 down to 15th in game week 17. So as well as Mark and myself have done in the last few weeks, you've done the complete opposite. So just like Brett and Tyler, whatever it is you're doing, switch it. Do something different. Corey and Reese kind of taking up the bottom 2 spots. Nothing's changed there. Although I have noticed Reese is slowly closing that gap. Very consistent for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Still bottom by a bit of a margin, but slowly bringing it in. So watch yourself there, Corey. I want to see Reese get off that bottom, and once he's off that bottom, I want to see him get out of the bottom 3. So let's see how we go. But yeah, so there's been some big changes over the last few weeks, from myself being in 6th place at one point, now up to 2nd. Mark being low as 8th place, and now up to 4th. So some big moves going on. Game week 18 and game week 19 is surely going to make everything crazy again. There's going to be a lot of rolls of the dice. We've already seen 2 with Tyler and Reese wildcarding early, getting their teams ready. So who else has got some things up their sleeve? They're going to triple captain, they're going to bench boost, they're going to free hit for the game week. If you've got your free hit, this is the week to use it. My advice still stands as, don't use your second wild card, because you're going to need it. But if you're going to use it, I'd be using it to make a team as big as you can around game week 19. Get it in early, double game week 19 coming up, bench boost, get as many players on your bench as you can, utilise that game week. If that's your plan, then go all in on it. So, but yeah, another 2 weeks wrapped up, boys. There's a bit of a week's break for FPL with obviously the cup games and stuff like that. So got a bit of time, keep your eyes on the cup games, watch the injuries, watch the players in form, watch the press conferences, see what people are saying, and get your teams ready for the big old game week 18, which is going to be the spanner in the works. And then right around the corner is the game week 19, which everyone's planning for. So look forward to seeing you soon. Some more banter in the chat, and we'll see you soon in the next video.